Welcome back to Open Lines. We are coming up on the half hour. Thank you again for joining us. I'm Carrie Sharp. We are talking about June being Pride Month, the history of it, and the conversation has trickled on from there. There's always the opportunity for you to call in, ask questions of our guest, or just make your own comment, your own observation about how you celebrate this month and maybe how it's changed during the course of your lifetime as well. Dr. Marisa Richmond from MTSU, that was a mouthful all of a sudden for some reason, I don't know why, is joining me tonight. I've enjoyed our conversation so far. We've talked a lot about the evolution of Pride Month, where it all got started, and I was reading more about it preparing for the show. It really talked about how Pride Month was a way to say we're done with the shame. We want to talk about something else. We want to change the perspective.
Right. Yeah, well, especially with the police harassment, people were made to be ashamed of who they were, you know, of how they expressed themselves, who they were in love with. And we just got sick, people, at least in that era, were sick and tired of it. And so the celebrations today are based on that there's nothing wrong with being who we are, who we love, how we want to express ourselves. So we come out and we party. And, you know, again, whether it's someone old coming out late in life, it's important that they were denied that opportunities when they were young. Young people are finding an opportunity to express themselves now that my generation did not have so many years ago. And so that's why I think so many people enjoy it. Not everybody comes out, I understand that, but there's a lot of people for whom this is very, very important.
You've talked about some of the classes that you teach at MTSU, from Black history to religious studies, political history, LGBTQ. Is it a history class, or?
I use it as a history class, yes.
I wonder if the people signing up for each of these classes already have a particular stake in that topic, or if you often have students who come in and just say, I want to know more.
Well, the general, the general education requirements, they have to take 1 full year of history. So the intro classes is for everybody. And so people are like, I'm studying engineering, I'm studying therapy, why do I have to study history? So they're there because they have to be, not because they want to be. But when you get the upper level classes, those classes are voluntary. Those are electives. And so people look through the schedule and they say, oh, that's what I want to take. And you know, we try to publicize what's coming up. And in fact, the African American history class was added to general education because the students demanded it. And so we responded to those requests. And so we are trying to reach out to the students and give them what they want. And they're a lot more interested if it's something that they've asked to have offered. And so they're a lot more excited and more engaged in the process.
I was just thinking back to when I was in college, and you know, I came from a small town, very white town, and I wish I would have had the wherewithal as an 18, 19, 20-year-old to say, I should go learn more about Black history because I was not taught this in school, or women's history, for heaven's sakes, because I wasn't taught that in school. And I just wonder now, in the year 2022, has much of that changed? Or do you find that your students are more worldly in these ideas?
Well, yes and no. I mean, some are, because of access to the internet, social media, which has both positives and negatives. And a lot of times I've had students say things, they didn't teach us this in high school, and I understand that. And I try to explain why and the difference between high school and college. But I say, you know, now you have not just these classes that I'm teaching, but all of these other options, not just in history, but in all of these other fields. Take advantage of it. That's what you're here for. And, you know, and to expose yourself to all of this. I think that's good for you, and we want you to take these classes. That's why we're offering them.
Yeah, because we live in a very diverse community, and it's getting more diverse by the day. I mean, even just here in Middle Tennessee, we see that. We see our population just changing over and over and over again.
Yeah, when I hear people in Metro Nashville Public Schools talk about the number of languages spoken.
It's amazing.
You know, and I mean, I got through French and Spanish when I was in school, and I barely know either one today. I did learn a little sign language on my own because I worked with a couple of deaf people early in my career. But beyond that, you know, I'm not multilingual, and I don't pretend to be. But it's part of the diversity of our community that people come from different cultures. And so I make a point of going to different cultural events and learning about the cultures I didn't grow up with. And I served 6 years on the Metro Human Relations Commission, and one of our roles is to advocate for all Nashvillians. And I pointed out that I'm here to support the work of those communities I don't belong to, not just the ones I do belong to.
That's right. Let's talk again about Gay Pride Month. The folks are just joining us here at the half hour. That really is the overreaching topic that we have today. June is Gay Pride Month, if you didn't know, here across the world. And why is it that way?
Across the world, I think people, again, for many years, and people in many cultures, again, a lot of discrimination, and people, once these Pride celebrations started, everybody said, hey, we can do this in our communities too. And when I hear about them, not just in the big cities, like Berlin or Stockholm, but in small towns and villages, and I was mentioning even here in Tennessee, we just had Franklin on Saturday, we got Pulaski and Cookeville. No matter where they occur, I think everybody says, we can do this. And in particular here in Tennessee, we have to do this if we're going to educate and change our political leaders. We've got to educate those people, or else they're going to keep coming after us with all of this insidious legislation over and over again.
Where is the next battle when it comes to legislative efforts? What's the biggest battle right now?
Well, at the federal level, we're pushing for the Equality Act. It's already passed in the House of Representatives, and it would ban discrimination, not just in the workforce, but in education, the military, healthcare. I think I may be leaving out a category, financial issues. So it's comprehensive. So it goes beyond that Supreme Court ruling on employment. It has passed in the House. It's one of the many bills stuck behind the filibuster in the Senate. I think at this point, with us getting so close to the election, the focus is on trying to sort of fix the Senate so we can move the bill. And the president is urged passage and said he wants to sign it and wants the Senate to pass it and send it to him. And we wanted to get into them. We're concerned about what the Supreme Court might do on some of these cases, the potential that they could, based on the abortion ruling, they could cut back on some of the other issues. Of course, abortion was based on the concept of right to privacy, and the sodomy ruling from 2003 or 2004 was a right to privacy case, and largely based on the Fourth Amendment. So, we're concerned about those sorts of rulings, and if they're willing to go after right to privacy, then does equal protection under the laws also come under scrutiny? And there we could lose not just the marriage equality, but again, the employment equality rulings as well. So we're looking at those sorts of issues. And then, of course, there are all the multiple state battles, especially here in the South.
I mean, you live in a red state. It seems like the legislator has been focused on the past couple of years, whether it be the bathroom bill, we've had the trans athletes bill, bills this past session. Really has grabbed the large focus of each session lately.
Right, and I mentioned the education bills that target not just me but my colleagues in K through 12, and so all of that is disturbing. And in the meantime, they're not expanding Medicaid. They're not making us safer. I think permitless carry is insane, and especially with just another mass shooting in Chattanooga the other day. And we need to be advancing rights, not cutting back rights.
What would be your message if any lawmakers are watching tonight?
If they are, stop attacking the LGBTQ community, and it's time to focus your attention on supporting public education and health care. And it would be nice if we did something about the traffic jams around Nashville as well.
And give you an amen on that one. I'm stuck in one today.
I think everybody is ready for that one.
I do want to talk to you about the issue of trans youth. We have heard so much just recently about high suicide rates. Leah Thompson has been in the news a lot with Thomas, thank you, with her swimming endeavors, and has drawn a lot of ire. You're trans as well. Can you speak from that perspective of when lawmakers start talking about the trans lifestyle and how they want to create laws around it, what it does to a child?
Those children, they're hearing this being attacked. When the bathroom bill first came up 6 years ago, and that was, I think, the last time I was on the show, and I was lobbying up at the legislature against that. I also was meeting with some of the youth at that time, and I remember the day we finally killed the bill in a committee, and it died because of finances, because the Obama administration at that time threatened, Title IX funding withdrawal, and so the ACLU was working with us and got that fiscal note up to over $1 billion. I think it was close to $2 billion. And so I went to the kids, and they didn't care about the fiscal note. I just said, it's dead for the year. And you could just see the stress rolling off of their shoulders because they were afraid of increased bullying, denial of their identities. And I recently was meeting with some officials from my alma mater, my high school alma mater, and they said we have 25 out trans and gender non-binary students here. 25. I was stunned by that number. And they said, we're a refuge. We're protecting these kids. Some of them may not have friendly families, but their school is not going to add to their problems. And so, we want to keep people in school. And when they get frustrated, they get angry, they feel like the world is against them, they give up and they take their own lives. So we want to address that. And so we need to make, again, school a safe place for them. We prefer that their home also be safe, but at least we can do something as a society to make sure their school is safe. And that is absolutely critically important.
And I imagine that's one reason why Pride has grown the month of June and the celebrations and gotten so loud in a way over the past several years, is that the community that is comfortable speaking up wants to.
Right. And those of us who are adults, we understand. We were there as kids. We may have been in the closet, but we were there as kids, and we understood the isolation and the fear that those children today have. And so we're trying to be there as role models and as advocates. And I get contacted a lot from parents and family members. Somebody grabbed me at Franklin Pride, said thank you, for being there for the kids. And at Pride, all of them have like a youth tent, a place where the kids can go and they can get face painted, and I guess the adults can do so as well. But it's a place where they can sort of meet and congregate, it's important to have that peer support, and not every school has a GSA, a Gender Sexuality Alliance. So we try to provide those resources outside the schools if we can, and do what we can to provide information, especially for healthcare. Even though Tennessee and other states are trying to deny them the right to access gender-affirming healthcare, and we're fighting back, and the medical community, thankfully, is fighting back with us.
You spoke a little while ago about being on a college campus before. When people couldn't even hold hands with the same sex, their partner, and that was a matter for arrest at one point.
Correct.
Now you work on a college campus. Is the scene much different?
Very different. Although not every school is the same. I know some schools. I've been involved with some campus organizations, and people from certain schools face a lot of hostility. And I've seen some students talking about their school, and they break down crying because of their hostility that they're facing on those campuses. And so those where they can be out, where they have affirming resources, is so important.
Very good. We're going to take another quick break. When we come back, we will wrap up the show. This is your chance to call in and chime in. 615-737+. Stay with us.